going on? What's going
What's
on?
going on, man? Doing fantastic. How about you?
Chilling. What's
Lucario, man, I'm trying to get these guys. I'm trying to get these guys on this new speed dating show I got. I got 5 women lined up for them. Nobody's
oh
signing
where?
up.
Oh, they don't want to do no speed dating.
Nah, man, they up there. They listen to your shows, you and Steve, and they don't want to sign up for the show.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's crazy. What's good with you, though, man? How was your week?
I'm chilling. You know, same old same. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, bro. So we'll give Michael a chance. We got 2 minutes.
All
Actually,
right.
you know what? Let me send that in right now. Talking to you. Get Michael on here. Should be following him. If not, I'll just send him a DM. Is it popping up? All right, let me do this real quick. All right, Michael. Send. All right, send him the show. Okay. All right. Got any plans for the weekend, Lucario? Besides your shows?
Yeah, me and April gonna go out and do a date night thing, and then I gotta do some more work on Sunday.
Doing
Yeah, man.
God's work.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. You got Game Global this Sunday or no?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So it's 8:59. We're gonna get started in a minute. I just sent Michael a request, so just give him a minute. He'll probably DM me in a second. Like, where are we supposed to meet, bro? He always seems to do that. So tonight's game is cat and mouse. Pretty much what I saw from last week's show on Game Global. It seems like you guys not heated, but just more of an understanding. Blaze was an understanding where you were coming from your perspective, and
Right.
then Blaze, with the having women as friends and yada yada yada. You think it's a big waste of time, so we're really going to get into that and do a deep dive. I'll get Michael's input. Excuse me, and then there was a couple things that I got from Michael that I want to ask him, and then that's pretty much it. So 8:59, we got a minute, guys. Thank you so much for joining the show. Appreciate it. We got about a minute, and it is 9 o'clock. So, guys, before I get going with the show, I have to tell you again, man, April 25th is going down. I got a beautiful, luscious peach for you guys, and she is ready to mingle, and she is single. So I'm DMing you guys. I don't know what to tell you. So anyway. So, Lucario, tonight's topic is cat and mouse. Okay, so this is pretty much going off the premise of last Sunday show that you did with Game Global. Shout out to them, and shout out to him for running such a great and astute show. A very educational, very learning. And again, I love the fact that you guys always meet at good faith. It's not on hate,
Right.
being hating or anything discriminatory, or it's like it is what it is. I say what I say, and then we're just going to move forward. All right, so the definition of saying of cat and mouse is behavior that is like the way of a cat chooses a mouse or plays with a mouse before killing it. All right, let me just keep in mind. After hearing this terminology, Lucario, is it wrong for men to play the long game with women as in terms of fully understanding women and investing time and energy?
So the thing is, if you're gonna play the long game, it has to be the long game on your terms. The problem is guys will play the long game on the woman's terms, meaning they will, for example, like want to sleep with a woman, but they'll say, I'll wait for her to be ready and go on 10 more dates or whatever. Or they'll say, hey, I really wanna, hook up with this girl or do something in a dating sense, and the girl's like, hey, let's be friends first, and then they're like, all right, cool, I'll be friends with her first. So a lot of guys will play the long game based on the woman leading the situation, which is ridiculous, because when you do that, you've already lost the entire situation, and that woman is not attracted to you, don't really respect you, and nothing's going to go how you really want it to go at the end anyway. You see what I'm saying? So you're just wasting more time doing that type of stuff. You know what I mean?
Let me just give a huge shout out to Ike Fury real quick before with my follow-up question. Thank you so much for donating $10 to the show, brother. Really appreciate it. Thank you for your patronage. So is there a problem with, Lucario, is there a problem with men actually, from your perspective and with your experience, is there a problem with men actually investing and taking women out on 10 dates?
Yeah, because the thing is, when you're like seeing a woman, right, and you're doing like a whole bunch of dates, like a lot of guys have I'm gonna go on 3 dates, then by the third date I'm gonna have sex, and then we're going to be continuing to see each other, and then she's going to become my girlfriend by the third month, and all that type of weird stuff. So the problem with that is that most guys are moving at a pace where they're trying to rush to lock the situation down. And also it coincides with some women's idea of locking the situation down. So you have two desperate people who are trying to lock each other down. And that's a recipe for disaster, because what happens is that none of them are actually putting in the work it takes to cultivate something of substance in order for something to turn out to be a long-term situation. Because this is the thing, if it's supposed to work, it'll work without you rushing into any commitment. Because that means that if you guys actually are compatible, then that's what it's going to be. But if you're incompatible, then what you're doing is they're investing a lot more time, energy, and attention and putting labels on things. So when things don't work out on a psychological level, it hurts worse, and it creates more trauma and creates more bitterness. Because it's one thing for, if let's say you meet a girl and y'all hang out and y'all hook up a few times and then it kind of fizzles out. But if a woman ends up being your girlfriend and it's only been 2.5 months, and then you end up being in a relationship for another 2 months, and by the fifth, let's say, month, you break up, now you have a whole feeling of investment, and it's like it's a fall, it's like a harder fall, because now I'm breaking up with my girlfriend versus something just fizzling out with someone I was getting to know. You see what I'm saying? And that's the problem that most people do, is that they create these commitments and attachments very quickly, and then when it falls by the wayside, that causes more of a hurt feeling in the end. You see what I'm saying? Versus if you would have just been dating, seeing where it goes. Okay, it didn't work out, cool, but the sting is not as heavy because you haven't invested too much time and energy, and you didn't put labels on it. You see what I'm saying?
Appreciate that. Thank you for expounding on that. It seems like, and just with your personal opinion and your personal preference, it seems like you do have an issue with somebody not taking or putting themselves in the driver's seat, as in terms of dictating terms, ground rules. The ball is in your court. All these innuendos, all this terminology. It seems like your main focus is, let's just get to the goddamn point. Am I standing corrected on that?
Yeah, basically. I mean, the thing is this. Most people pretend to be someone they're not to gain access to someone they want. You feel what I'm saying? And then the problem with that is that the real you is going to come out at some point. So let's cut the BS and be ourselves, and so we can actually see if things are going to work out how they should work out. Versus, both people are pretending, and then when the real them comes out, they wasted all this time and energy on this person, and sometimes you linger on a little bit longer because you feel like you don't want to back away, because you've been already invested all this time. You already went on like all these dates, y'all hooked up, you did all this. So you're like, damn, I've already invested all this time, so I don't want to fall back, even though this may not be the best situation for me. You see what I'm saying?
Have you seen successful, personal view, have you seen successful relationships and marriages when people have played the long game?
Yeah, I mean, well, if they played it the correct way, meaning that it's an actual man and a woman in a situation where the woman is adhering to a guy who's a leader, then absolutely. The problem is most relationships are what I call yes dare relationships, where the guy just yes daring his woman, the woman's leading the situation, she don't really respect him, and he's just happy wife, happy life, yes dare type of stuff. And then that type of situation it doesn't really go anywhere. It leads nowhere. You see what I'm saying? Unfortunately,
you make a perfect example before I move on. It's such a great topic that we're talking about this. You make in your personal life with a friend of yours that you don't no longer hear from, who got caught up in a relationship. You believe it's toxic. You do bring that up as an example or a learning curve for the audience. So you would look at that as in terms of when certain percentages of men that actually get with women, they seem to lose themselves. Do I see correct?
Yeah, because you got to understand, most guys are willing to trade in their masculinity for companionship. You know what I'm saying? So they're like, well, I want a woman there. I want to have consistent sex. I want, these things to go down. But the problem is that you have a lot of guys who will do this because they don't have game, so they don't know how to cultivate a situation that's going to not only be beneficial for them, but beneficial for the woman also. Because when a lot of times what happens is when the woman is running the relationship, she's miserable too. You understand? So she's in her comfort zone of having a weak guy, but she's not really satisfied, and she doesn't really feel fulfilled in that situation. And the guy feels emasculated and feels like he has to walk on eggshells and do all this other nonsense because he didn't have the strength to stand in his masculinity and find a woman who's going to follow his lead. And on top of that, he's not being a leader anyway, which is why he's in a relationship with a woman who's, doing all this stuff to drag him along in the situation. You see what I'm saying?
Gotcha. Appreciate that, Lucario. Guys, if you have any questions, actually, I'm going to be nice tonight. Isaac donated a 10 ball, all right, in the Cash App. So you guys have an opportunity now, take advantage of it, to ask your questions up until the $10 marker, okay? So go ahead and ask your questions now. Thanks to Isaac, Ike Fury, who went ahead and did that for you guys. So go ahead and take advantage of it now. You don't have to donate now, but after we get to a certain threshold, you'll have to donate again. All right, thank you, Lucario, for clarifying on that. All right, play the long game as in terms of fully understanding women and investing time and energy. You answered that. And is it okay to circle back to a woman once rejected the first time?
No. so the thing is this, right? If a woman rejects you, right, you don't want to circle back, because what happens is you're chasing a woman, and the fact that you're chasing her means that she is not interested, and all you're doing is that you are reinforcing to yourself that you are not valuable. Because what you're essentially saying is that the woman is saying, I'm not interested, I don't see the value in you. And then you chase this woman, and what you're saying is, well, I agree that you don't see value in me because I don't see value in me. So then but what you're doing is you're begging for her to give you a chance. So it's one thing for if you're in a situation where, let's say, you're on a date and you guys are like kissing and touching and the sexual tension is heavy or whatever, and you're like, hey, let's go back to my place, and she says, oh, I can't tonight because I got to go to work, or or whatever, or I shouldn't because it's been, we just met, I don't know, whatever. That's not necessarily her rejecting you. That's just her giving resistance in the situation. And in that case, you can either stop talking to her, or you can give her another opportunity to make sex happen by saying, hey, hit me up, next week or whatever, if you want to make this happen. That's one thing. But if a woman outright rejects you, she's telling you she's not interested, she tells you no, that she doesn't want to see you or don't want to give you the number, doesn't want to go out with you, doesn't want to do anything with you, it doesn't make sense to try to go back and try to make something happen with that particular woman. You see what I'm saying?
Got you. I appreciate that. So last week's show on Sunday, it seemed like I don't want to butcher the man's name. I know Blaze, but there was another gentleman that was on. He called himself the Magician, and they had this way of getting around. They painted a scenario for you in the club, and they were Blaze was pretty much expounding on and explaining that, well, you don't want to rush a situation. The way that they were looking at it as in terms of, if I'm talking to a woman and speaking to her and pursuing her, if the conversation is making her feel uncomfortable, they didn't consider it rejection. Where you said flat out, if she doesn't comply, it's goodbye. So if you could just expound for the audience real quick on what the topic of debate was back and forth about how they were explaining about the club scenario and how they were looking at it about a woman's comfortability.
Right. So the thing is, a woman is comfortable with who she's attracted to. If she's not attracted, her being uncomfortable is directly correlated to her not being attracted. Just so basically what I'm saying is this, like, a woman is not attracted and uncomfortable at the same time. That's an oxymoron. You understand what I'm saying? So in order for her, because what happens is the uncomfortability is the thing that makes her want to fall back, right? Attracting a woman makes a woman want to come towards you. So you're not going to come towards what you're uncomfortable with, if you see what I'm saying. So the thing is, if you see something sketchy or you see like a lion, you're not going to go towards it. If you're uncomfortable with that lion or that sketchy situation, you're going to try to fall back. So the thing is that when a woman is attracted, she's coming towards you, not away from you. And so what a lot of guys do is they're trying to actively make women comfortable because they believe women are uncomfortable in general. You understand? And they think this because they think women are uncomfortable with men in general. And they say, and the guy says, therefore, I'm a man. So she's automatically going to be uncomfortable with me. So I have to try to find a way to make her comfortable. Right. But the problem with that is that what you're essentially saying is women don't like you in particular as the man you are. So I have to go in and I have to do all this work to make her comfortable first. Then I can talk to her and do what I want to try to do to get her to be interested in me. And when you do that, the problem is that because these guys think this, they come to the situation with thinking the woman is uncomfortable in the first place, which causes them to act in ways where they're trying to make her comfortable, which creates a nice guy type of inauthentic, weird vibe. And that within itself, ironically, could make her feel uncomfortable around him because she's like, why is this guy acting weird? You know what I'm saying? With me. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of times, unfortunately, the PUAs, the pickup artist guys, what they do is because in their mind, they need to, work to earn a woman's attention. They think that this is just part of the thing, but it's not actually natural. So they think, well, yeah, she's going to be uncomfortable, so I got to make her comfortable first. Then once I make her comfortable, then I can do A, B, and C, and D. And that's just them putting more time and energy into something that doesn't even need to happen. That's not necessary. You see what I'm saying?
Gotcha. Appreciate that. Okay, only Christopher, I did get it, but put the question in because Lucario can't read the chat. So put it in right over here, okay? All right, I'll pull it up anyway. But for now on, guys, just put the question up here because I'm doing a live show, so it just makes it easier, okay? But I did get your Cash App. Thank you, buddy. All right, only Christopher Lucario had a question, and I have a follow-up question afterwards, Lucario.
Yeah.
If a woman rejects you, but she doubles back, do you give it a shot?
If she rejects me and then she comes back, do I give her a shot? It depends. So let's say for example, like if I talk to a girl and she says, oh, I can't have a boyfriend. You understand? That's still her rejecting you, but she got a boyfriend, so it is what it is. And then let's say she says, oh, me and my boyfriend broke up. Like let's do something now. Then it's like, all right, cool. You understand what I'm saying? Then hey, we can make it happen. But if she rejects me and she's single and she can make something happen and she's just like, I'm not interested, and then all of a sudden, a month later I run into her at a party and then she's like she's interested now. I'm not really going for that. Or she just like happens to, like, let's say she has my number or whatever, and then she happens to hit me up after she said no blatantly on a certain context of us actually could have been in a situation where we got together, then I'm not doing it. And the reason why I'm not doing it is because usually what happens is that when women reject you outright and then they come back, all they're saying is who I really wanted doesn't want me. So now I'm coming back to you as the backup, the safety net. You see what I'm saying? And so the thing is that, if you're allowing her to just come back in that fashion or that manner, then what you're doing is you're disrespecting yourself by allowing her to be back into the situation. You see what I'm saying? So again, it's one thing if the context is, well, I'm saying no because I'm with someone. You feel what I'm saying? Or let's say, just for sake of argument, you wanted to hook up with a girl and she's like, oh, no, I can't because, I think I caught an STD and I got to go get checked out. You know what I'm saying? That makes sense. But if things can happen and she says no, when things can actually happen, then we're pretty much done. You understand what I'm saying? We're pretty much done. Now, the only caveat is let's say it happens within a particular situation quickly. So meaning, let's say you're at a bar, club, or whatever, and you talk to a girl, and you say, hey, like you flirt with her a little bit, and you say, hey, let's get up out of here, right? And she's like, oh, no, I can't do that. I just met you, right? And then you say, all right, well, whatever. You have a good night, peace. And then you try to walk away, and let's say she grabs your hand, and she's like, okay, I'm sorry, my bad. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? In that instance, that's fine, because what happened was that within that moment she realized that if she's not going to do what you want to do, she's going to walk away. And within that moment she realized, okay, this guy, he's a man who stands on his shit, he's about something. So maybe I misjudged him. Maybe I kind of, you know what I'm saying? So now I'll, she goes back to you. In that instance, cool. You know what I'm saying? But in general, if a woman, rejects you, and then all of a sudden she's just coming back, spinning the block, in general, trying to make something happen after the fact, then it's like, nah, you got to keep that moving.
Okay. Appreciate that. Right. Only Christopher, hopefully your question got answered. Thank you, Lakari. So mine's a two-part. I'm going to expound on Only Christopher's. So what about women that spin the block that you've been with sexually?
Yeah, well, that's cool in a lot of ways, because what happens is that if she's already been having sex with you, that's showing that she values you sexually. And sometimes what will happen is that women who, let's say you're hooking up with, and she's like a fuck buddy, right? She may end up finding a boyfriend, because you're not trying to be a boyfriend. You're just trying to, hook up with her. So she might find a boyfriend. She might say, hey, I found this guy. We're trying to do this. And you're like, all right, cool. Well, hey, if anything changes, come back through. And then sometimes things change, and then she comes back through. So that's a fine situation. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, appreciate that. And then the second part of my question is, when I was talking about circling back around after being rejected, what about this power dynamic of a man when it comes to attraction? The man walks in, let's put you in, for example, the cologne, the watches, the chains. There, in a way, for a woman's emotions, there does have to be a sense of nervousness in a way. Not uncomfortability. Let's exclude that for a second. So maybe the conversation dynamic, you're approaching her with all this exuberance of confidence, and it just takes her a minute to warm up to you. Would you call that a sign of rejection as well?
No. Well, the thing is, when you have game, you can tell the difference between nervousness and uncomfortability. You can tell the difference between a woman being, let's say, intimidated, or a woman not being interested, right? That comes with experience and knowing and understanding certain signs that a woman is going to give you. So like and also too, it's having self-awareness. So if you're the type of guy who, just in your experience, you notice that, for example, let's say you dress really fly, right? And you usually got your hair cut, you smell good, and all this other things, right? So the perception that women have of you is, oh, this guy, he's he seems like a player, or he has probably has this going on or that going on, and that within itself can make a woman intimidated, or you have some women that will kind of like, you can tell they're interested, but they're trying to differentiate for themselves from other women, because they think that you got a bunch of women, so they don't want to be just another girl on your roster, so forth and so on, right? So what happens is that awareness lets you know, okay, this girl's nervous, this girl's intimidated, and then on the flip side, this girl's just not interested, this girl is just not really feeling it, right? But again, those things you see as you are doing what you're doing. But the thing is that most guys don't go out enough, talk to women enough, interact with women enough to be able to know the difference. And so this is why guys, even on the flip side, get confused, and they think that, for example, a woman just giving them attention means she likes them. Like I've heard some of these guys, unfortunately, like the pickup artist dudes, there's like, well, if she's on the date with you, that means she likes you. And it's like, no, it doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's what I'm saying, where when you have limited experience, there are certain things that happen that you misinterpret, but you misinterpret it because you have the limited experience. So thinking that a woman, for example, is interested in you just because she shows up on a date is naive, and that naive thinking comes from lack of experience.
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying? You could basically be on a date because she wants a free meal, or she's just using you for entertainment. The woman just broke up with her boyfriend, and she's trying to get an ego boost. All of these things occur and happen, but if you don't have experience, you're not going to know what's going on. You see what I'm saying?
Got you.
Right.
It seems like last week too. Appreciate that, Lucario. It seems like last week too. Last week's show. It seems like Blaze, and I hate butchering the other guy's name. It might have been Mystery. I'm not too sure. But it seems like they fell in love with the idea of romanticizing on dates. I saw you let off a little bit of a chuckle. But I need to know her. I need to have an understanding. I pull out tricks, and I have these things that I want to take my time. I don't want to. I'm 50, and in particular seem to be putting it on age. Well, you know, I'm in my late 50s, and you know, I'm not so quick to rush women into the bedroom. So is all this scarcity?
Yeah, well, this is big. So it's like this, right? In I'll use this example just to paint a picture, right? When you have, like, I would say this, having an abundance of, you know, things, situations, circumstances, you know, let's say it could be money, it could be, you know, food, it could be and when you have an abundance of anything, right? It changes the way you see certain things. When you have a lack of something, it changes the way you see certain things, right? So usually when you have an abundance of something, the value of everything in the abundance is lower in a sense. When it's scarce, it's higher. You understand what I'm saying? So now what happens is that when you're a guy who, for example, has an abundance of women, like an actual abundance in real life of women who, you know, are attracted to you, you can have sex with them, you can do all these things, right? What happens is that your view of women is different than the guy who has scarcity. So the guy who has scarcity, in most cases, overvalues the woman, you know, just off the rip. That's where the romanticizing comes in. That's where the, oh, she's special, she's on the pedestal, whatever. They romanticize her because what happens is that she's in scarcity. So because she's like the one, or the one that's here right now, and I feel like I can attain this, then it becomes a big deal, right? Now, when you have abundance, what happens is that you don't look at it the same way. When you have abundance, you're like, okay, well, I have so many options, I have all these things. Now, this is the interesting part. When you're in scarcity, you make this one thing, or this thing it. When you have abundance, you see value also, but value comes in when something stands out from the abundance. You know what I'm saying? So what happens is that now you're actually seeing things for the value it is to you in the situation, because you have so many options, versus seeing something as valuable because you have no choice but to see it valuable because that's all you have.
Gotcha.
Right? So a lot of these guys, what happens is that, remember, and again, this is not me even picking on the pickup artists though, but a lot of pickup artists are like nerdy guys that before didn't have access to women, or women that they liked, or whatever, right? So now that they figured out ways to get access to women, right? That's why that pedestal vibe is there, because it's like, oh, she's amazing, and romance, and I fall in love when I see this woman, and so forth and so on. You understand? Because they're always making it about the women because they don't have experience with women. Their ideas is always, I gotta get the hot girl. If I could get that hot woman, everything will be great. When you have game, you have abundance, and what happens is that you see value in a woman when the woman is in relation to your program, her actually earning her spot in your program, in your life, in how you do, right? The other guys, they're in scarcity, and then they're just glad she's there. They're just glad she exists. You see what I'm saying?
Get you.
Because you have the scarcity, but when you have the abundance, it's like, oh, you know, I have all these things, and I'm actually choosing who I see fit to be the woman on that's the most valuable. You see what I'm saying? So that's the difference. So when you have game, you don't really romanticize women, because the romanticizing of it and the fantasy of it comes from, you know, what you think things should be and what you're hoping it needs to be. When you have abundance, you understand how things are, because you've already been in these situations, and you know the reality of what's going on, and then you are able to accurately choose what you see fit as valuable. You see what I'm saying? And that's the difference. Because see, the thing is this: if you have no choice really, right, then what you see as valuable has been forced upon you. choice, you're choosing what's valuable, and you get to choose out of the abundance the value. You see what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
That's.
I get you. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for the 10 to the 14 people that are on. We're closing around that hour. Lucario's always killing it. It seems like Michael has been delayed or has something going on his end, so that's okay. But we're still going to run the show.
Yeah.
But Lucario, before I move on to my questions, because we're holding on to this time, because it's vital. It's important for people to understand, to find the knowledge, to have an understanding about it. My main thing is, though, at the end of the day, through all this game, through all the hoopla, to what we want out of life, you and I can both agree that men and women want a couple. Right? They want a couple. They want to be in relationships. They either, whether it's a fuck buddy situationship, whether it's a relationship, whether it's marriage, we do out in this world, especially 2025. If you agree, disagree, we all do want a couple.
Right.
At the end of the day, I think your main thing is, before you answer, I think your main thing is that you explain on all these panels and your shows, your previous shows, solo shows, group shows, is how you go about it.
Yeah.
Is that the way that I'm looking? Okay.
Right, because this is the thing. Unfortunately, this is the fucked up part about relationships, right? In a lot of relationships, somebody's losing, or somebody feels they're getting the short end of the stick. Somebody feels like they're settling. Somebody feels like they're not getting their needs met, right? And so the reason why this is because what happens is for example, let's say you have a guy who meets a girl. He thinks she's super beautiful. Oh my gosh, she's so amazing, whatever, right? And they end up in a relationship. But the way she views him is he's okay. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So now she's losing because he's getting a woman he thinks is beautiful, awesome, all this other stuff. So he feels like he hit the jackpot. She's settling. You understand? And this could also be vice versa. You could have a woman who's like, oh man, I found the man of my dreams and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And to him, he's looking at her like, she's all right. You know what I'm saying? So now in this situation, he's settling, right? So, and the reason why people settle is because they'll want the long-term relationship. Like you said, they want to be in that couple. They want to have somebody there. And so even though this person may not be the person they really want, they'll just be like, I'll settle for them because I want to be in a relationship. I'd rather not be single and be alone. So even though this is not the person I really want to be with, I will be with them. Now, the relationships that actually are beneficial, right, is the ones that's beneficial to both people, where both people feel like they're winning, that they're not settling. You see what I'm saying? And so,
Okay.
so the thing is if you can have two people who are in a situation where they're actually not settling, then you're going to have a more fruitful, beneficial, and enjoyable relationship for the long term. The problem is most people are not, they're not strong enough to find a person that they really want. And even on the opposite end, the person who seems like they're quote unquote winning. So for example, let's say you have that guy who had the most beautiful girl, whatever, and all this other stuff,
right,
and she's settling for him. Part of his situation, he knows that this woman is not really all about him. But he's gonna ignore that because she's hot, he's her dream girl, all that other stupidness, right? But when you have two people who love themselves and they love each other just as much as they love themselves, then that's an actual beneficial relationship for both parties, where they're going to enjoy it in the relationship. The problem is that most people, like I said, because they're settling, right, and they're too afraid to actually go after what they really want, they're not going to be able to be happy in their relationship long term. And then the person that they're with is not going to be happy long term because they're not happy long term. But what people are doing is they're quietly suffering, you know what I'm saying, like over an extended period of time. And then in those situations, this is where you get, people neglecting each other and taking each other for granted, abusing each other. All these things happen because it's every time that woman sees that man that she settled for, she resents him and she's upset at herself. But she's not going to say that. But it's happening all the time in her mind.
Gotcha.
You feel? That guy's going to feel that energy in certain ways that's going to make him miserable. So you have two people that's going to be miserable because somebody's settling, the other person who thinks this is his dream girl doesn't actually want to adhere to the fact that this woman isn't really that into him at the end of the day. You see what I'm saying?
Got you. Well, I appreciate that, Lucario. Guys, we're getting around that hour, so go ahead and ask your questions. I appreciate the 12 people that are on. Lucario, thank you so much for always dedicating your time and coming on to the Man Panel Show. It's much appreciated. So it's like, and I'm going to watch it again. A great movie, and I know you know not a classic, but the 2010 She's Out of My League. So you and I know what we're talking about. So I just watched it last night. I'm going to watch it again because it was really good. And his insecurities and how he felt around her and how he pedestalized her and kept calling her a 10. You're a 10, you're a 10. And then come to find out in the middle of the movie, she only got with him because he was safe.
Right.
Remember the guy that she dated before, the pilot, who is a risk taker and, is suave and he has confidence. So it was something different, but yet he cheated on her. So that messed with her. So she went the opposite direction and got with this guy who had a shitty car. The car wasn't even, was holding up on, a little bit. Like, the muffler was getting ready to fall off. That kept working the same boring job, who had the same boring life, who still lived with his parents, who didn't go to college. And he was safe. But the problem was, every time that he got around her, his insecurities would show. His friends would tell her, well, she's a 10, and you're a 5. Well, what do you mean by that? Well, you have this, and you have that, and you don't really have much going for yourself. Okay, we'll give you a 6. No, deduct a point, because you still don't have this shit. So it back and forth throughout the movie, on and on and on and on. And then he would keep his distance from her. And not understanding, and she's confused. Like, what is going on? Like, why did you choose me? Constantly. So I see what you're talking about when it comes to a lot of guys. And the movie is a great depiction on what's going on currently with a lot of guys pedestalizing women. Before I move on, there was something before I watched, before I got on the show. WWE star Charlotte Flair just filed for divorce. But it was back in 2024. This is her third marriage. So she went on a show and started crying and said, well, I tried. And this is the case in point where you're talking about is it's not the simple fact that you're trying. It's one person has to love himself first. She has to love herself in order for you guys to come together and couple and make this actually happen. Because case in point, who the fuck wants to go through 3 marriages? Within a span of just 2 to 3 years. So what is the point? And I can see what you're talking about.
Yeah, because you got to understand, like, most people who are in a relationship shouldn't be in a relationship anyway. You understand what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people are in relationships because it's convenient. They're in relationships because they don't want to be in a relationship because they feel that this is the best they can do. They're in a relationship because they're getting older and they feel like they need to not be by them. It's like all these other situations, they're in relationships except for the main reason to be in a relationship. And the main reason to be in a relationship is to basically extend the freedom that you have within yourself. That's
that thought. 1 second, Lucario. I'll let you. I'm sorry. Let me just control the chat room. Hold on, because you're making good points. Boxing, can you do me a favor? Because I've already asked Christopher to do this twice. All right, Chris, thank you. But stop sending the question in the chat because I can't read it. The question right here. The mark right here, because Lucario and I can't read through it, okay? Thank you. I appreciate the cash app, brother, but you have to put it through the question icon. Boxing, if you could just moderate, please. Go ahead, Lucario. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, well, no, I was just saying that the point of the relationship is to share an experience or share experiences with someone, but also that shared experience is just you expressing the freedom you feel within yourself with somebody else. This is why it's compatibility. So the compatibility means that, we're on the same page. So all I'm doing is experiencing an extension of myself through the interaction I have with the person I'm with.
Right.
And so if you're incompatible, what you're doing is that you are sort of suppressing your growth in that interaction, right? And so what people are doing is they're trading in their freedom, they're trading in their identity just to have somebody, right? Because the thing is that if you're with someone where you feel free, and when I say free, what that means is that you feel free to be yourself. You feel free to, you know, be exactly who you are, and also learn more about yourself through the interactions that you have with the person. Now, this does not mean that, you know, every day is going to be sunshine and rainbows with the person you're with.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that you have a lot of people who are in relationships and they're miserable more than half the time they're in a relationship. They feel like they gotta walk on eggshells. They feel like they're always arguing. They gotta you know, they resent the person they're with. They, you know, it's all these different things that go down, and it's because the person is too afraid to be by themselves and actually find somebody else who's more suitable to be with, so that they can actually grow in that situation. Because this is the thing: if you're in a relationship with someone, it should feel like it should feel very freeing, and feel like this person is just an extension of you,
Right.
right? So you have people, for example, I was watching a video where this guy was like, he would go to the bar after work, and then he would drive to his house and sit in his car for a half an hour before he goes in to see his wife. And the reason why he did that is because he was anxious about seeing his wife. You understand? So imagine you're a grown man and you're afraid to interact with your wife because you feel like it's stressful and frustrating. So this is why you stay in your car for half an hour before you even go inside to see your wife. And so that's the type of relationship lots of people are in. You understand, where they feel like they're suffocating, they're suffering, and all these different things, and they stay because they're so emotionally invested in the situation, and they're scared to let go because they don't know who they are without the person. And that's so suffering in the relationship is less scary than figuring out who they are without the person, because they forgot who they are without the person because they've been with the person for so long, and they've been tricked into thinking that they aren't who they are without that person. This is why you hear people say stupid stuff like, I can't live without him, I can't live without her. But you were living without him or her before you met him. But you forgot who you were in the relationship because you got into a relationship with someone who doesn't inspire that growth within you. And all they do is they're taking away from who you are because you're in a situation with someone you're not compatible with.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So the compatibility is supposed to lift you up and help you grow versus tear you down. But the thing is, people want to be in a relationship so bad that they're like, well, I'll be in this relationship with someone, even though they're tearing me down, they're abusing me physically or mentally or whatever it is, and I'll just stay here because the alternative is too scary. The alternative of being by myself is too much because they're pressured into feeling like they have to be with somebody because of society, because of their parents, because of friends and family who they're in a relationship, so I should be in a relationship, all that other nonsense. Crazy.
Gotcha. All right, April, I'll cover it. Thank you, hon. I'll scroll back up. But Christopher, we do have to, if it's not fitting, like I said, there shouldn't have been an issue before, but hold on, I got to scroll up. And Lucario, I have two more questions, and I'm going to let you go, bud.
Go ahead. Let's go.
All right, 1 second. All right, so we're going to answer this through the chat, but audience, for now on, in the bubble, after you donate, please. Lucario, you say you tell women you want to have sex. She's not with it. Then you tell her, hit me if you change your mind. Do you go through with it if she do hit you for that? I have and have not. Do you understand? I'm sorry, Lucario.
Is that a question? So he's saying that if a girl hits me back, do I go through it by having sex?
Yeah, I think that's what he's asking you.
Yeah, if she's hitting me back about that. Now, if she's hitting me back about something else, then I just charge it to the game. So the thing is, she has to hit you back based on that. She can't hit you back and say, hey, let's go to dinner. No, you understand what I'm saying? It's like you're supposed to hit me back because of that. So if you hit me back about anything else besides that, then I don't deal with you. And then that's when I actually charge you to the game and don't talk to you ever again. You understand what I'm saying? Because now at that point, you're wasting my time. You see what I mean?
Gotcha. All right, Christopher. Hopefully that answered it. But like I said, guys, audience, if you can, like April's trying to explain in the chat too, you should be able to send multiple messages through the chat, through the question mark. Yeah. So that should be how you're able to do it. All right, so I had questions for Michael, but unfortunately he can't come on, so we'll get him on the next show. That's not a problem. Lucario, why do you emphasize to the audience or your members to not have women as friends?
Oh yeah, well that well basically having women as friends is super fake and it's disingenuous. Now, this is not to say that you can't ever have a woman as a friend, but if you have a woman as a friend, this can be this can't be this the woman you have as a friend, you cannot have an ounce of sexual attraction towards her.
Mm.
Because as soon as you have any type of sexual attraction towards her, then you just being friends with her is automatically fake.
Okay.
You know? So the thing is that the reason why it's fake is because the purpose of the situation or the elephant in the room is being ignored. And so if the elephant in the room is being ignored, then you can't even have an authentic relationship with this woman as a friendship because there's that elephant in the room that's being ignored. You see what I'm saying? And
Okay.
so the problem is a lot of friendships with women are BS because it's just usually guys who wanted to get with the girl and couldn't. It's women who don't like the guy but likes his attention. So it's not really a friendship. And I always ask this question. I always say, look, you know, and again, it also depends on what you define as friendship. Because a lot of times when guys say I'm friends with women, they're really just more like acquaintances. It's just like somebody they know, maybe they've done some business with. But that's not really, I don't define that as friend. I define a friend as someone you enjoy being with or doing activities with where you don't expect anything from them but to exist in your situation, right? And so what comes with that is a sense of, you know, like this camaraderie where I would, you know, be there for you. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? So if I'm not willing to be there for that woman, how am I really her friend? So for example, if she's going through a tough time, she may want to talk to me on the phone for an hour. Am I willing to be there for her for that? She may be having trouble with you know, some guys that she's dating. Am I there to be a listening ear?
Okay.
Am I if she has kids, am I going to, you know, come over and babysit her kids if she has something to do? You see what I'm saying? Like, am I actually putting myself in a situation where I am a benefit to her as an actual friend? And most guys are not. Most guys don't give a damn. Most guys are full of shit because what most guys do is that they don't care about her, they care about what's in it for them by being her friend. So guys will be like, but bro, you should be friends with girls because, you know, if you're friends with girls and you go out with them, then that'll attract more women. So I'm like, oh, so you're just friends with her because you want to use her to attract more women. You see what I'm saying? Oh,
Right.
you to make money with them. Oh, so you want to just use her to make money. Now, again, ain't nothing wrong with saying to the girl, hey, let's make some money, or even telling the girl, hey, look, I'm about to go out to the spot. Come with me because it's going to help me get more girls. That's fine to even say that to them and them actually agreeing to it. That's cool. But don't act like you're their friend, but you're just a user. You're not a,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying?
All right.
That's
Now we get down to the brass
right.
tacks because I wanted to know what was because you were
Mm,
scratching your head last Sunday, and I'm
mm,
glad you're breaking this down because you were really confusing Ablaze
right.
about like he was just like, well, you see, you
Mm,
guys, and he kept bringing up procreation. He
right.
says, well, only you and Steve. Okay, that's what you guys do. Like he was
Mm,
adding a dig real quick. That's what you guys use women for is procreation. You don't
right.
believe in having friends. And you kept saying, no, that's not the situation. I just think it's a big fucking waste of time
Right.
to have actual friends. So, and you completely won that debate anyway, but when it came to that certain
Mm,
topic. So my whole thing is with those type of guys, if you can just give a quick small depiction on those type of individuals, excuse me, those type of men,
mm.
why would they so desperately want women as friends?
Yeah, because it's just is a lot of it's just a backdoor way to try to flip that into a relationship or sex. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, oh yeah, we'll be friends, we'll hang out, she'll see me more, she'll get to know me more, and then maybe, you know, let's say I catch her on a day where she's being vulnerable and I'm a shoulder she can cry on, and then she's like, oh, you've been there for me for so long, and I'm developing feelings for you, and also the nonsense. So again, the entire situation was built on BS. It was built on trying to play the long game, so to speak, in order to get things going in a romantic and sexual sense. So that's what I'm saying. Where if any of if any of that is present in the situation, it's not a real friendship and it's all nonsense.
Okay.
So any type of so basically, if I find a woman sexually attractive, right, I can't be friends with her. It's impossible because the entire situation that we interact with each other is going to be based on that being in the back of my mind and
Okay.
gonna play out in how I interact with her and deal with her to the point where, let's say she ends up getting with another guy, what could happen is that jealousy could happen because now you're like, oh well, what is it about him that I don't have, and blah blah. You know, that this is what these guys will think because now, because he's sexually attracted to her and he's actually interested in her, if she gets with another dude, he doesn't want to hear her talking about some other dude and their situation and all. You understand what I'm saying? Like
Okay.
that's
So
not a
that's where the backdooring would come in, right?
right. Exactly.
So that you surround yourself with, oh, we're just friends, and then you push yourself through that threshold to actually
Mm,
build up the sexual tension. But it's already gone.
right.
She doesn't feel the same way that you feel, correct?
Exactly. And then even still, you still will try. You understand? So you're like, oh, one day I'm gonna get her. One day she's gonna find out how good of a guy I am because these other guys that she's messing with don't love her like how I love her. It's nonsense. You see what I'm saying? Like
Okay.
these dudes, and on top of that, a lot of times too, the reason why you also can't be friends with women is because uh, in most cases you can't 100% be yourself with a woman without offending her.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying? So, like, if me and you were on a phone in a private call, there are certain things that I could say to you that I probably could not say to any woman, whether she's friend or not or whatever, because the language, the way I'm saying it, the certain things that I'm talking about, only you as a man can understand where I'm coming from in that interaction or conversation or whatever. So, if a man is, you know, I suggest I want guys to watch this show called Survival of the Thickest, right? It's, you know, if you guys can watch that and get through that. But the main character is this girl and she has a male best friend. Watch that guy. And if you notice his behavior is very on the feminine side. And that happens when you're friends with women because the only way to be friends with women is you have to go on that side of the fence because it's impossible for friendship to happen by you being like masculine. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna gel well. It's not gonna really take on. So what happens is when you're friends with women, you essentially start acting like women.
Gotcha. I appreciate that, Lucario. Lucario, my last question, and then I'm going to let you go. I'm actually going to sit you on this long red couch. Imagine this long red couch, and we're going to have a quick little therapy session. I just want to, who hurt you, Lucario, in a way? All right, last question for Lucario, guys. Please get your questions in. We're 10 minutes to that 10 o'clock marker. We're officially getting ready to wrap up. Lucario, thank you again for your time. Thank you for the viewers that came on. Thank you for the people that have donated. We really appreciate it. And here we go. So an AI overview article I found on why this method of cat and mouse game is famously known is among the opposing sex, the cat and mouse is a dynamic in the relationship often involving a back and forth game or pursuit and avoidance stems from underlining fears of intimacy and abandonment and can be a way to maintain a certain distance while still seeking connection. Lucario, you're on my red couch. So here we go. I got my pen. So, Jaded skewed view. So, all right. So, has your ideologies and teachings left you closed off to have full transparency and love for a woman?
So you're saying you saying the things that I teach,
The things you teach, your methods. You're telling guys, before you answer, let me just give you a whole overview real quick of how you run your shows. And it's like, I'm the bad boy, the dating game. It's like, this is bullshit. It's like, stop doing all this. You don't need to be friends with the chick. Either you're going to get to the point and move on. Oh, well, let's get comfortable with her at the club. No, you don't need to get comfortable with her. If I'm hollering at her, she don't want to fucking comply, goodbye. Right. So has this left you jaded? Has this left you, what was my other word? Has this left you to a point where you can't be fully transparent with a woman that you actually love?
No, actually, it's the opposite. That what I teach is the transparency. See, this is the thing. The thing that's not when you're not being transparent, that's when you are being fake with things like, let me be friends with a woman, or let me take her out on 3 dates so I can get the pussy back. That's you not transparent. Being transparent is actually being real, so a woman can actually see the real you, and so therefore you can actually therefore you can get a response from her that's real. So technically you can't even love a woman correctly unless you're being honest with yourself first, right? And so for most guys have been indoctrinated to shield their honesty so that they can fit in with polite society. You see what I'm saying? So that's the thing. So you can't really fully love a woman, right, until you love yourself. So in order for you to love yourself, you have to be real and honest with yourself. And that honesty is you interact with a woman with that honesty so she can actually be real back to you. Because you can't, how can you think about the statement, I love you. Who is the you in the statement? The you in the statement has to be who you really are. How can I see who you really are if I'm not showing you who I really am? So I need to show you who I really am in order for you to show me who you really are. You understand what I'm saying?
Get you.
And so if I'm being fake, then I can't see who she really is, because she's going to be fake, because I'm not actually being, right, what I'm trying to attract. Because see, this is the thing. Women, the reason why, and I said this a long time ago, and a lot of guys don't get this. The reason why women play games, right, is because the man is he's the beginning of the games being played. You understand? Shout out to Alan Roger Kerr. I remember he uses as an example. He said if you're in your house, right, and you open a window, right, and you're trying to let some air out the house because it smells a certain way. When you open the window, you're letting the air out the house, but you're also bringing air from outside in the house, right? So when a guy starts playing games, which is opening the window, right, he's also letting in the games women are going to play. You know, and so that's the thing. So a guy, unfortunately, what happens is that he can never really truly love a woman until he loves himself, because the love that he has for himself, that woman is going to reflect that in the relationship with him, so that he can properly love who she really is. Because this is the thing, the woman is putting up a mask because the guy put up the mask. The woman is just trying to protect her, energy from the dude who's probably playing her. This is why even nowadays you see a lot of women where you're like, oh, these women be playing games and they're acting this way and they're doing this and they're doing that. And all of that is a response from them putting their guard up from guys who were disingenuous. The same guys who say, I just want to be your friend. You see what I'm saying? And then later on, he's trying to unbuckle her fucking bra. And she's like, what the hell's going on? I thought you were really trying to be my friend. No. So now women are on guard because they're like, these guys are full of shit. And so because they're full of shit, these guys are full of shit, the women are going to be full of shit. And that's how...
You're pretty much explaining that it really gets scary then. If the lines get blurred, if nothing's explained, people can really get hurt.
Right, exactly. Okay. That's
I get you. Look, Mario, go ahead and drop all your shows and where people can find you.
Yeah, so guys, make sure go to shoplocario.com, SHOP, locario.com, to get the books, the audio programs, the video programs, and you guys can get an online dating consultation with myself in April. You can click on the joint and set that up, and you can get that all at shoplocario.com. And also, guys, go to badboymembership.com. That's where you get 45 to 90-minute audio and video dating advice tutorials every month. So hit me up on there. And yeah, man, that's pretty much it.
Appreciate it. Are you ever going to bring back, I think you said no, though. Are you and April ever going to do the dating profile shows, or that's just too much?
Oh no, we'll do it again. We'll do it again at some point. We just gotta. It's just we gotta get people to send them in, and then we gotta put it together. So it takes a little bit to put it together, but yeah, we'll do that at some point, because we're gonna be promoting more of the online dating consultation stuff, because these guys, they need it. It's like,
definitely, and especially if I can't get them on my speed dating show. Right. I mean, talk to your crew, man.
Oh yeah,
Come on, man.
When do you
this chick is bad.
When do you do
April 25th.
Oh, the next one. April 25th. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll remind me and I'll announce it on my live streams and
You're
be
the
like,
best, bro. I
yeah.
appreciate that. Lucario, fantastic weekend.
All
Stay
right.
safe. And I
Yep.
always appreciate you coming on the man panel.
All right, brother.
All right. Talk soon, brother. Be safe.
Peace.
All right.
Later.
Peace, peace. All right. That was Lucario, the bad boy of the dating game in the house. The 12 to 14 people that have came on, thank you so fucking much. Christopher, thank you for your patronage. Ike Fury with the 10 ball, kicking it off on tonight's show. He is awesome. He's fucking amazing. He is dope. Guys, you heard it from Lucario itself. We still got 10 people on. April 25th, Friday, I got the lovely, beautiful, luscious Kira in the building for the first segment of the Speed Dating Show. Make sure you guys go ahead and check it out. All right, it is appreciated. If you have a link, send it to me and I'll post a date. Awesome. Thank you, April. I appreciate that. I will definitely. So much love and admiration that they send over here. April is fucking bomb. She's awesome. Thanks to Lucario. Guys, go ahead. April 25th is my first segment of the Speed Dating Show. Okay, I got 5 women lined up these next couple of months. Get on the show. Be a part of the show. Come on and qualify and send me your profile pictures. Okay? Okay? All right, guys. Wonderful and fantastic night. Please be safe. And what do I always say? Take care of one another. I'm out. I'm gone. Peace.